Welcome to African Living Abroad. I'm Jamhuri and I'm here to help you build bridges cross-culturally. And today you see me holding some beautiful bright yellow leaves. Fall has finally arrived. And for those of you who live outside North America or Europe that haven't experienced fall, I would like to show you a lot about it. As fall progresses, it's gonna get more and more beautiful. And as usual, when I go for my walks, I like to collect all kinds of things, leaves, grasses. I find nature so beautiful, and I like to share that picture with you of these leaves. So yeah, come out, take a walk with me. And some of you who are wondering, what is this with my something bag here? I like to be prepared for my walks. Take all my tools I need in a bag, because I never know how long I go for walks. And today I have my walking stick because it's about 7 p.m. and I don't know how long it's gonna take me. And as it gets later and later in the evening, I never know what comes out of the bushes. See, around here, oh, that's my neighbor's dog, likes to go for a walk with me. So I don't have to own a dog. That's my walking dog. And look at that. That's where I think there could be some, who knows what, nocturnal animals. Yeah, what am I going to talk to you about today? Yeah, synchronicity. Everybody's talking about synchronicity lately. And I think it's replacing the word coincidences, because coincidences gives the feeling that some things are happening accidentally. But more and more people are recognizing that many things are divinely orchestrated for us humans. When we pray and our prayers are answered, when we meditate and attract things to our lives, the divine answers those prayers and then puts the answers in front of us. Our job is to open our eyes and see those things happening. I think the reason why we feel our prayers aren't answered is because we don't recognize them. We're not aware. And that has happened to me many times. And I'll talk about that in another video, about prayers that are answered and we never see them. So I'm learning to be very aware of my surroundings, to see if those prayers are answered. Or even when I meet strangers, to see, to be aware that they could be bringing a message to me. So I'm going to share about, I think, 7 synchronicities that I experienced in July under very difficult circumstances. See, in June, end of June, I lost my mother. She passed away in Kenya, and on a Saturday. And the coming Monday was a holiday in Canada, so a lot of things came kind of not easy to organize. But on that same Monday, on that holiday, I happened to book a flight, and the booking agent just did everything for me. She said, I have a flight for you for tomorrow evening, and the next day you'll be in Nairobi, and I'll give you all the seats that are on a window, by the window. And I didn't have to do much except say, yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. And you see, the last little while I've been, worried about traveling, safety of airplanes, and I've been Googling which airplane seats are the safest in case we get into a crash. So I was getting a bit educated and I had some tips. But for this plane, I had to leave everything to be, to the divine to handle that for me. And this thing started to roll out really beautifully, which and my eyes were open to really see those synchronicities. And The thought that I had for this trip was, I don't want to be bothered by anybody. I'm just going to sit down, think about my mother, think about my home country, think about the people out there, and I don't want to be bothered. But the synchronicities that happen later on happen actually, before I forget, I have to tell you that they happen for my good. They happen to begin to heal me of my pain, to relieve me, to comfort me. But the interesting thing is that I had to give. I had to say yes. I had to allow those synchronicities to happen. So I arrived in Minneapolis, and I've never taken an afternoon flight, 5 p.m., but because that booking agent did everything for me, I was able to enjoy the beauty between Winnipeg and Minneapolis, flying over North Dakota, South Dakota, and then Minneapolis. And that was a very beautiful treat for me. Flying over this prairie in the summer, you could see everything from the air. And for me, that was amazing. It was just a nice treat. And when we arrived in Minneapolis, I met a Kenyan lady who was a bit agitated when we were already boarding. And she had a lot of, her baby stroller, a car seat, and she was standing there. And I thought she was waiting for her spouse or something. Then I went on, took my seat by the window. And guess who comes to sit beside me? This mother with a 3-month-old baby. And I was like, no, not loudly. But I've flown with babies before, with my own babies. It isn't fun. Babies cry. Babies, they don't enjoy flying. And it was so I kind of was fighting it within me. But then, I saw that she was a bit lost, and I had a conversation with her, and she said that was her first time to fly and she didn't know what to do. And then I found myself saying, okay, I've flown, I have some experience flying with children. I can help you, not worry. Let me hold your baby for you. So I helped her settle down. And after she settled down, I could imagine how that night was going to be. It wasn't going to be too pleasant with a baby. But I just said, you know what, it's okay. And interestingly is the cabin crew came and offered her another seat with more leg room and a baby bassinet to sleep on, for the baby to sleep on through the night. And she left, and I had a whole seat to myself. And I thought to myself, wow, this is amazing. Those few moments I opened up to her. I felt like I was giving her, the knowledge of what an experience of my traveling with children. And she was quite receptive. And then I felt something when I started to give and to open up. I felt as if my heart was lightening up. My sadness was letting go. And then I think I got an instant reward after that. She was offered a better place, and I had 2 seats to myself all the way to Amsterdam. And then we boarded another plane, that's Synchronicity number 2. And then from Amsterdam to Nairobi. Guess who I sat beside? The same lady for an evening flight. Day flight, actually. Day flight from Europe to Nairobi. For all the years I've flown, I have never sat beside the same stranger twice. And I thought, yeah, this is very strange. And then another lady came and sat beside me. She was a Kenyan flying from California, and that actually ended up being Synchronicity number 3. I discovered that this lady from California, she had many things in common with me. She was exploring the law of attraction. She was into yoga. She was into meditation. She's trying different things, and she's a foreign student. And we could share all those experiences together. And at the end, she told me that she was going to her grandma's funeral. And here I was going to my mom's funeral. So we were able to comfort each other. And I confided in her. I said, I would like to honor my mom and speak about her life, but I don't know if I can do it. It's going to be really hard. And she said, you know what, this is not about you. This is about your mom. She would really appreciate it if you honored her, paid her tribute. Do it. I would encourage you. And that really freed me. That gave me the courage. And she's a very wise lady. She is about maybe 15 years younger than me, but full of wisdom. And so from that time on until we landed in Nairobi, I kept writing my script in my head. And during the funeral, by the way, I was composed. I was able to say perfectly, as best as it could be, to pay tribute to my mom. And I was able to speak very well in Kenyan languages, Kiswahili and Kalenjin, to honor the people also in our neighborhood that came to the funeral. And something else happened in that plane. Those of you who've flown before would know that children don't like flying. They cry a lot. So there was a little boy with his family, and this boy cried the whole time. I think he had been crying for over 3 hours while I was in deep conversation with these ladies. Then all of a sudden, it became clear to me that that child is really stressed out. And I just happened to shoot out of my chair, of my seat, and I thought I was going to the washroom. But I ended up standing in front of that family. And I talked to them. This family did not speak Swahili, did not speak English, and visibly they were from a different religion. But I found that didn't matter to me, that I wanted to help that child. So this mom told me that their child is autistic. And because I work in a school and I'm familiar with autistic children, I knew that this child was really restricted in this airplane. And I offered to walk the child just back and forth in this plane. And mom said, I've tried that before, but we can try it again. So she held the child's hand, one hand, and I held another, and we walked back and forth, back and forth. We went back to the seat, and I wished them well, and I went back to my seat. And I said to my friend, I don't know what came over me. I just found myself there. But I think to think about it, I've been learning something that's called energy healing. And I don't want to talk too much about that, but I would encourage you to Google energy healing. And it's by touching someone else, you can do them well. And we all know, and those of you who don't know, humans touching each other, shaking hands, for instance, patting somebody's shoulder can be a source of healing, if it's a good touch, of course, with good intentions. And then we landed in Nairobi in the evening, and I saw that family standing right there. And that boy was straight-faced. He wasn't crying. You couldn't hardly tell that he's the same boy that was crying before. I acknowledged the family, greeted them, touched the boy's head to just say hello. And the mother said the most wonderful things to me. With a limited language between us, we hugged, and she said to me, "Thank you, sister." That was very, very powerful. Very powerful. And as I mentioned before, that this synchronicity for me was every time I gave to someone in that plane, something was given back to me. And I think it ties into what I'd been learning a couple of months before that about the principle of giving and receiving. So after I parted with his family, Now it was time to go through customs, which I really dread, because for many years, many trips, I am that person that is picked on at random. You know, if somebody is to be searched, it's always me. It doesn't matter whether it's in Kenya, especially in Kenya. I've experienced that a couple of times. And so my kids say, Mom, that I get really stressed at airports. Maybe the reason, that's why they pick me. So I thought, well, what's going to be now? What's it going to be? But I had an issue to clear there. But it all turned out to my favor. It didn't take long. And the officials there said, yeah, that's fine. It's a small problem. We can fix it. And they ushered me to one of the shortest lines and said, you know, enjoy your time. And that was like, whoa, this never happened to me. Never. But I realized that this is a result of probably giving. And I'm going to talk about my trip back. Yeah, so I sat on my seat beside the window. But before that, when I got to my seat, I saw there was an old man, probably 80, 85, sitting in the middle seat. And I thought that he had a tube that he was, or something like he was putting a needle on his veins. And I thought, no, this trip, I don't know how it's going to be. Maybe he would be needing to go in and out of the seat to the washroom. But I learned to be calm. And he said to me, you know what, I'll just let you through. I'm going to go finish this in the washroom. So I thought it was a medical issue. And he came back, he sat down, and then next to him was a young lady, probably on a school trip to Nairobi. And interesting enough, this man he said he had bought a ticket, first class ticket for his wife, and he was going to sit in economy. And I thought that was really, really amazing. And then as we traveled, this man started to need some help with this computer. He had a computer, he had a cell phone. You know, he was pretty high tech, but he needed help to navigate these things. And the young lady came in very handy to help him. And sometimes he would fall asleep and it's time to eat, and I would wake him up. Or when he got up to go to the washroom and he tangled himself with cords, laptop cords, or his cables there somehow. And I was able to extend help and help him. And I realized this man gave his wife something beautiful, first class. And here he is being taken care of, strangers. And by the way, this was another cross-cultural experience for me. This is an American older man. I'm an African lady. And this man, I don't know, the issues in USA are different from the issues in Canada. But that did not bother me. And it didn't bother him. We really connected beautifully. And then after that, we landed in Paris, or some people like to call it Paris. That is the proper way to say it. It's Paris to me. We say that Paris in Canada. And so in Paris, I thought I am relieved of my duties. I'm gonna show you something. There is a young man driving on a quad. Let's see what's up to. That's him. Whoa. It's neighbor driving, having fun there. In Paris, I sat beside two ladies. One American lady, having lived in France, heading home, and she was very tired. She didn't want to engage in too much conversation. Beside me was another lady. She could not speak English. And so she kept asking for help, to ask maybe food preferences and so many things. And interesting enough, the last half year I'd taken a crash course in French. but I was pretty rusty. So she was helping me to kind of reactivate my French. It was pretty challenging. And when I was watching my movie, she did not open her screen and she wanted to look at my screen. And I found myself interpreting the movie to her using hand language, hand signs, body language, all kinds of ways to communicate. And she understood me. And we were watching a movie called The Biggest Little Farm, I think. If you have a chance to see that movie, it's beautiful. And I grew up on a farm in Kenya, and it was very familiar to me, and I was able to show her some things and explain some things, and we were laughing, we were enjoying it. And then we landed in Minneapolis. Everybody goes their ways when you land. And somehow we ended up together, this lady and myself. And I kind of felt like I should talk to an airport official to help her to get someone who speaks French. And the official said, yeah, I'll find someone. So it was really good to see her communicating with someone and to get her passport cleared. And off she went. I know we'll never see each other again. But I thought that was really amazing. So now it was just really time for me to get home. 1 more hour and then I would be at my destination. So I gave my seat to someone else. I said, you know what, you can take my window seat, enjoy the prairie, I'm good. And then I'd been flying. I think I was one of the passengers that had flown the longest. And I really wanted to get home. And it was announced that those people who wanted to connect to other cities, the time was really tight. It is your chance now to go so that you can be cleared easy and you don't miss your next connecting flight. And I was sitting on the aisle seat at this time. And 2 people just got off. And I just felt that, you know what, it wouldn't hurt for me to get off as well. So I got off and I was one of the first people to be cleared at our destination, and I met my family and we drove home safely and beautifully. And later on I just had to share with my family how the trip went, and I felt really taken care of. All those things, even though in the beginning it felt like I was giving, I was being bothered by people, but somehow my eyes opened to see what was happening, that they were helping me, because every person I made contact with, everybody I helped, the reward I got was I felt taken care of. They gave back to my life. They gave me joy. They gave me a sense of purpose. And what I learned from that is even in our hardest moments, we shouldn't stop helping other people. So I want to challenge you to open your eyes, be very aware of your surroundings, check out what's going on, who needs your help, and don't be afraid to open up to help another person. Don't be afraid to give even when you're hurting. Because actually before that, I had realized in the past, one day I was having a really crappy day, and an opportunity presented itself where I had to go and help someone. And when I knocked on their door to bring the resources for them, they were almost in tears. They said they had been praying and waiting for help, and here I showed up with those resources. And they were so overjoyed. And the effect of that joy and happiness and an answer to their prayers, I was healed. My bad moods disappeared. And I went back feeling really happy. And I said to myself, you know what, next time I meet someone who is complaining, who is having a bad day, I would advise them, go serve someone else. Go give your time to someone else. Go help someone else. You will be healed. So I want to encourage you, check your surroundings. Even those strangers that cross your paths, listen to them. They might have an answer for you. Synchronicities are divinely orchestrated for us humans, for our good. That's it for this afternoon. this evening. It's actually about 8 p.m. September here in Manitoba. The sun is still bright, as you can see. I'm squinting a little bit. I would like to encourage you to keep broadening your horizons. Continue building bridges, whatever kind of bridges. I like to build cross-cultural bridges. What kind of bridges do you like to build, or are you challenged to build? So until next time, bye.